News has obtained exclusive new data exposing how Australia's big three energy companies are pocketing billions while household bills skyrocket.
Good evening. Sydney households are tonight being warned to brace for fresh bill shock, with power prices expected to surge further.
Power bills, how do they make you feel?
Sick to the stomach. Just scared of them, you know, because I don't know what I'm going to get.
Opting for blankets over heaters and keeping lights switched off paint a dark picture of the ways households are trying to avoid.
That is huge. That is huge. It's very tough on families. It's very tough for us that, lower income people, yeah.
Your power bill went down. That is what you were told. What your retailer did not say is that the fixed daily charge, the fee you pay before switching on a light, rose by up to 98% on the 1st of July. On one Origin plan, it is now $2.69 a day, $982 a year of savings before you use any power. The household that already turns everything off is the one it catches hardest.
They're advising people to shop around. Is that enough?
No, it's not enough. I mean, very clearly there are some big changes to the environment that is in the hands of governments to...
Not enough. That is the country's peak welfare body on the official advice. So start with what the regulator actually did, because it did do something. On the 26th of May, the Australian Energy Regulator set the benchmark electricity price for the year ahead, and it cut it. In New South Wales, the cut was between 3.7 and 7.7%. In southeast Queensland, between 7.2 and 10.7%. In South Australia, it landed somewhere between a fall of 1.1% and a rise of 1.4%, which for a South Australian household on a flat rate is about $33 a year more, not less. Those numbers are real. The trouble is what they cover and how few people they reach. That benchmark price is called the default market offer, and it is a safety net. It applies to households who never chose a plan and never switched, so they sit on whatever their retailer offers by default. In New South Wales, southeast Queensland and South Australia together, that is roughly 463,000 households, about 8 in every 100, and you can read the size of the cut and exactly who it binds in the Australian Energy Regulator's own final determination for 2026 and 27. If you have ever rung your retailer and taken a deal, or signed up online, or moved house and picked a plan, you are not one of them. Your price is not set by the regulator at all. It is set by your retailer, and your retailer decides how much of that cut it feels like passing on. Listen to what that safety net actually is, described by a reporter in a year when it moved the other way.
The Australian Energy Regulator is estimating households will see price rises of between 21 and 22% if they're on the default market offer, which is the highest retailers can charge for
$383 added to a family bill on the price that is supposed to be the protection. So put the announcements aside and look at what households actually handed over. The Bureau of Statistics measures electricity the honest way, which is what you pay out of pocket after every rebate and credit. In the year to June, what a household actually handed over was 22.4% higher than the year before. Back in February, for the household opening its first bill of the year, it was 37% higher. Not because the power got dearer overnight, but because the thing that had been quietly holding your bill down was taken away. The Energy Bill Relief Fund gave every household $300 across the 2024 to 25 year, then another $150 paid as 2 installments of $75. The government's own Energy Bill Relief page records the final installment landing on the 31st of December, and nothing has replaced it since. Here is the part that should make your blood boil, and it is a matter of timing rather than money. The rebate came off on the 31st of December. The price cut arrived on the 1st of July. For 6 months in between, households carried the full cost with nothing softening it, straight through the coldest part of the year. A pensioner heating one room in July was paying the whole price for the first time since 2023, and the relief that was coming had not arrived yet. That is the winter that broke a lot of people, and the people it broke are not the ones you would expect. Listen to what years of these bills did to one man in Sydney's northwest, long before this winter arrived.
Yeah, very much so, to the point where it is a part of the decimation of our marriage to my wife for 35 years, because I'd come home and the lights would be on, the power bills are high. I'd be saying, you know, what do you got the lights on for? What's this on for? Why is the heater on?
35 years of marriage, and the argument was about a light left on in the hallway. Nobody had explained to him where the money was actually going. So here is the mechanism, because this is the part that was never explained to anybody. Your electricity bill has two halves. There is the usage rate, which is what you pay per unit of power, and there is the daily supply charge, which is a flat fee you pay for being connected. The regulator's cut landed on the usage rate. On the 1st of July, Origin wrote to customers with what it called a pricing update. On one plan, the usage rate fell from 40.4 cents to 34.8 cents, which is the cut you were promised. On the same plan, the daily supply charge went from $1.79 to $2.69. Other customers reported theirs moving from 86 cents to $1.72 and from $1.28 to $2.44. That is a jump of between 60 and nearly 100% on the one line of your bill you have no way of changing. Do the arithmetic on your own account, because Origin did not do it in the letter. At that rate, the connection fee alone costs a household $982 a year. That is what you owe before the fridge runs, before the kettle boils, before the heater goes on once. For a couple on the age pension, that is roughly 3 weeks of the full pension payment gone on the privilege of having wires connected to the house. Origin says most customers will still be better off overall, and for a family running 2 showers and a dryer and a big television, that is probably true. The people it is not true for are the careful ones. Listen to a Tasmanian man who had not paid a power bill in years because he had already solved this the expensive way.
Jeff Blythe has solar panels on his home and hasn't had to pay a power bill for years. That's until recently, when he was shocked to receive one for hundreds of dollars.
This year's bill for the 2 winter quarters, one was $350, one was $570.
$351, then $570, to a man with panels on his roof and a habit of using almost nothing. Here is where you might switch off, because so far this sounds like somebody else's problem. So let me point it at you directly. If you have spent the last 3 years doing what you were told, turning the second fridge off at the wall, running the washing machine at odd hours, heating one room instead of 4, then every dollar you saved came out of the usage half of your bill. That is the half that just got cheaper. The half that just got dearer is the half your discipline cannot touch. You did the work, and the charge moved to the place where the work does not count. Which brings us to the 3 ways out of this, and the fact that all 3 of them have quietly shut. The first door is using less. A household that halves its consumption used to halve a large part of its bill. Under a fixed charge of $982 a year, a household that used nothing at all would still owe every cent of it. The lower your usage, the larger the share of your bill you cannot influence, which means the fixed charge falls hardest on small households, single pensioners, and people who are already frightened of the meter. Listen to where the money in your bill actually goes, because the split is not the one most people picture.
Network costs take up 39%, retail margins are 6%. That's where consumers get stung for staying with a provider.
The so-called loyalty tax is costing an average household an extra $220 a year. South Australians cop the worst, paying $400.
6 cents in every dollar is the retailer's own margin, and that is the thin sliver the second door opens onto. The second way out is the one every minister and every regulator recommends, which is to shop around. It works, and it works once. The cheap rate you sign up to is an introductory rate, and when the benefit period ends, your plan quietly reprices while the name on it stays the same. The competition watchdog found that households sitting on the same plan for more than 3 years pay an average of $221 a year more than a new customer on that identical plan. The head of the Market Commission has put the gap as high as $300. Across the country, Australians handed over $2.9 billion last year purely for not switching. Victoria has now banned the practice outright from the 1st of July. Nowhere else has. Listen to what a man does once he has run out of plans to switch to.
Oh, well, I've got rid of the fridge.
So, Bryn, this is where the fridge was?
Yep.
So what have you got now?
This is just my camp fridge, mate. It does the job. I know that runs on a 12-volt battery for 2 days.
A camp fridge running off a car battery in a house wired to the national grid. The third way out is the one a lot of older Australians paid for in advance. You put panels on the roof, often somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000 of your own savings, on the understanding that the power you did not use would be bought back off you. Between 2009 and 2013, the states paid 60 cents a kilowatt hour in Victoria and New South Wales, and 44 cents in Queensland and South Australia. Those contracts have expired. Today, the going rate sits between 3 and 10 cents, and from the 1st of July, AGL's standing offer feed-in tariff went to zero. Not reduced, zero. The same company sells you power at around 35 cents and takes yours for nothing. Listen to the numbers one retailer published about its own customers.
The winter surge in electricity bills pushing Queenslanders to the brink. Origin Energy revealing the 47,000 Australians supported by its hardship program last year has already jumped 50%, with more than 70,000 currently need
70,000 people on the hardship list of a single retailer. So what does a country do when all 3 doors close at once? It stops heating. In a survey run in May this year, Finder found that more than 1 in 4 Australians, 5.7 million people, have gone without heating or cooling when they genuinely needed it, because they could not afford to run it. 12% told Finder they do it regularly, and another quarter said they have managed so far, but are frightened they will not be able to keep managing. And here is the bit that really stings, because a cold house is not a budgeting decision. It is a medical one. Finder's own utilities expert put it plainly, that going without heating in winter or cooling in summer is not merely uncomfortable, it is dangerous, and the danger falls hardest on the elderly and on people with existing health conditions. 13% of baby boomers told that survey they had already gone without. That is roughly 1 older Australian in 8 choosing between a bill and a warm room, in a group where a fall, a chest infection, or a heart event is not a remote possibility. The bill does not kill anybody, the room does. And this is where the 2 halves of the story finally meet. Yahoo Finance reported the change in June and put it to the company directly, and Origin's answer was that increases to supply rates and decreases to usage rates had created confusion for some customers. Read that sentence again. The confusion was not an accident of communication. It is the arithmetic of a bill where the advertised half falls and the compulsory half rises, and where the household least able to absorb it is the one that had already cut its usage to the bone. This week, AGL reported its results for the year. Statutory profit after tax of $756 million and a fully franked dividend of 50 cents a share paid out to its shareholders. The next day, Origin reported an underlying profit of $1,159 million and a final dividend taking the year's payout to 60 cents a share. In the same document, Origin recorded what it spent supporting customers in hardship: $40 million. Set against an underlying profit of $1.159 billion, that is about 3.5 cents in every dollar. It was reported, correctly, as an increase. If you want one number that settles the argument, the Bureau of Statistics publishes it every month, and it does not care what anybody announced. 22.4% over 12 months on what households actually paid. The Bureau names the cause without flinching, which is that the government rebates that were reducing household electricity bills have ended. That is the honest version of this year. The price of electricity did not double. The amount of it you were paying yourself did. So where does it end? In the best case, the Market Commission's reforms land as intended. From the 1st of July, retailers can only raise prices once a year on a market contract. From the 30th of December, they must move hardship customers onto their cheapest available deal. And other states follow Victoria in banning the loyalty penalty outright. In the realistic case, the reforms hold the line on the worst behaviour, while the fixed charge keeps drifting upward, because the poles and wires that it pays for are already about 40% of a bill, and the Commission expects that share to grow. In the worst case, network charges rise as forecast. The usage rate keeps being cut for the headline, and the compulsory floor under every bill in Australia climbs past $1,000 a year, while the announcements continue to say prices are falling. None of this was weather. Every part of it was a decision somebody made and put in writing. A retailer decided which half of your bill to cut and which half to raise, and it was legal, and it was disclosed in a letter most people did not finish reading. A retailer decided that the power you generate on your own roof is now worth nothing to them and 35 cents to you. A government decided that the rebate holding your bill down would stop on a fixed date and not be replaced. And a regulator, doing its job properly, announced a cut that binds one household in 12 and is a suggestion to everybody else. The result is a bill you cannot get out from under by being careful, in a country where 5.7 million people have already stopped trying to stay warm. There are only 3 things worth your afternoon, and none of them are dramatic. Find the daily supply charge on your latest bill, the one measured in cents per day, and multiply it by 365. That is your floor, and you should know it because every comparison you make from here is a comparison of what sits on top of it. Second, if you have not changed plans in 3 years, assume you are on an old version of your own plan and ring and ask what the current rate is for a new customer. Third, check your concession, because across the country, hundreds of millions of dollars in state energy concessions goes unclaimed every year by people who are entitled to it and have never been told. The thing to hold on to is simple. When a price is announced as falling, ask which half of the bill it fell on. The half you control is the half they are happy to cut. The half you cannot control is the one that pays for the poles, the wires, the margin, and the dividend. And it is the half that has been climbing quietly while the headlines went the other way. Being careful with your power is still worth doing. It is just no longer enough on its own. And that is the change nobody sent you a letter about. So tell me below, what is the daily supply charge on your last bill, and what did it cost you before you switched